Shalom family, shalom. We are here to give our testimony. We are sons and daughter of Pastor Alph Lukau and Bishop Celeste. We have our daughter here, baby Nala. It all really started last year, although our testimony goes way beyond last year.
And we are so honored to be here to share what God has done for our family, the unusual miracle that God has done for us.
We got married last year in April.
Mr. and Mrs. Moyo, a love story that captured the hearts of all who witnessed their union on the 30th of April 2022. Their love is a beacon of hope in a world filled with challenges. But sometimes, life unfolds in ways we least expect. In the midst of their love, they faced a heart-wrenching discovery that would test the depths of their commitment. They discovered that the path to parenthood was not as straightforward as they'd hoped. The news was a storm, threatening to cloud their sunny days. Join us on their path as they navigate the uncharted waters of life and love, proving that in the midst of adversity, the greatest faith in the God of Alph Lukau and their remarkable testimony.
So when Pastor called for couples that wanted to have babies in October, for us it was, let's just get into it. We may have a baby, but with that half faith, that if the man of God said it, we may have the baby. But in my heart, I had already made peace that we may not have a baby, or we may have a baby, because I tried for 8 years before and I could not have a baby. My first marriage was in 2009. Between 2009 and 2017, we tried having babies. We tried different places. We tried going for prayers in different places, and yeah, it just didn't work for 8 years. So on the week of the IVP, the theme was on your altar you shall find it. And when Pastor prayed for couples, I believed that we would have a child because the man of God had prayed, but I have to be honest, I did not expect that immediately we will have a child. I knew that, okay, along the way in life now, in future, maybe probably 2 or 3 months, or maybe even a year from now on, we may conceive and have a baby. So when Pastor called for couples that wanted babies, he said couples that I think it was important to the man of God, because he said couples that are married. He wants to pray for couples that are married that want to have babies. And yeah, that's when I called my wife so that the man of God can pray for us, as well as other couples as well.
Every married couple that does not have children or have children, but I want another child, be it that there is a known problem or there is no problem with your womb, you are just trusting God to have a child.
In the sacred presence of the anointed vessel of God, Pastor Alph Lukau, a divine moment unfolded, an altar call like no other. It was a call that reached out to the hearts of all those precious married couples who had yearned for the sweet blessing of parenthood. Among the congregants, Pastor Dumo and his cherished wife stepped forth, their souls brimming with hope and faith, seeking the touch of heaven itself through the hands of Pastor Alph. It was a moment of profound significance, a moment when adversity itself quivered in the face of a resolute declaration. Under the profound theme of the day on the 23rd of October 2023, on your altar you shall find it.
Pray. On your altar you will find it.
Pastor Dumo and his beloved wife were not merely recipients of prayer. They were the bearers of an extraordinary and enduring gift. This faithful couple received a timeless and potent prophetic word, a word that transcended the bounds of time and space, reaching deep into the realms of the miraculous. It was a word that carried within it the promise of a miracle, a promise that defied the hardships and tribulations they had endured. In this sacred moment, the prophetic emerged as a radiant reminder of God's unwavering presence, even in the most profound darkness. It was a reminder that in the depths of despair, a divine light still shone.
Right after the IVP, I went to Congo, and when I came back, my wife told me that I'm pregnant, and I was like, what? How? So yes, the man of God's declaration on that particular Sunday. Because when he called, he actually said to the couples that he prayed for, that by next year this time, meaning 2023, we'll be carrying a baby. That's what he declared on the altar on that particular day of IVP. We were amazed that right after the IVP, a month from then, we found out that she conceived, and when we counted back the days, they were exactly on the week, or at least a week after the IVP. Meaning the prophetic word and the declaration word that the man of God spoke was fulfilled instantly on the altar. It was a shock to us to be part of such an amazing work of God. And we got the baby Nala.
Yeah.
Nala means great harvest.
But before that, we had also, in the same week when Pastor prayed for married couples that were trusting God for babies, we also attended the IVP that same week, and that IVP was themed "On Your Altar You Will Find It," and family, on our altar we really found it. That's when we found out in December, which was a few months later. I think it was about, it was in November, so about 2 months later or so, that I was expecting. So as my husband said that he was not even in South Africa at that time, I just told him early in the morning when we got here, I'm like, we are going to have a baby. So the God of Alph Lukau had done it for our family. But it did not end there. The devil was fighting. He was not happy, about this testimony. So what happened about 4 months later, when I was 4 months pregnant, to be exact, it was February this year. It was early hours in the morning, around 2 a.m. My husband had just came from construction site, and I had the most excruciating pain on my lower abdominal. It was so painful, it was so bad that my husband said, no, let's go to hospital. So he rushed me to Waterfall Hospital, where I was attended by doctors. They did numerous scans on me that morning, and to their shock, and to our shock, we found out that I had multiple fibroids. The biggest fibroid family was about 9 by 13 centimeters. So the doctors were so shocked. They didn't understand, how did I conceive? How did I become pregnant? Because women that even have smaller fibroids than me cannot have babies, So they were shocked that, how did I conceive the baby? But we knew, that the God of Alph Lukau had done it for our family. So we were attended by doctors, and then also then I got admitted, and then that same morning also I was attended by a gynecologist who became my gynecologist for the duration of my pregnancy. He also did a scan on me, and he also was very shocked, just like other doctors. How did you do this? This is a miracle. How did you even get pregnant? He also said the statement, he said, these are the biggest fibroids that I've ever seen on a pregnant woman, right? On a pregnant woman. So he was also very shocked. He then warned me and said, this pregnancy was going to be very risky. It was going to be very difficult for me because of the magnitude and the size of the fibroids that I had. He also said, what also took us back was when he said that because even if we do get to a stage where we do deliver the baby, because of how big the fibroids are, during the delivery, I might bleed, and then because of the bleeding, that might have to remove my womb. So that was very shocking for us. I remember crying next to my husband, thinking I might lose the baby, but I might also, not have a womb. But again, we kept on speaking to our father and our spiritual mother, Bishop Alph Lukau, just reporting in terms of what the doctors were saying. I don't know if you want to add anything, love, on that.
I think there's a specialist doctor that came to you for about an hour just to try and convince her to stop childbearing and to, if it's possible, to remove the fibroids and even the womb, because she said it was very risky for her to have children in this state.
I started to go for regular appointments with the doctor because of the risk. But every time I'd walk into that hospital room, to see the doctor, he'd ask me, are you in pain? Are you bleeding? And I'd say, no, I'm not in pain. have you bled? I'm like, no, I haven't bled. And every time I'd say that, he'd be in so much shock, and he'd say, I don't know what God you serve. This is a miracle, you know. But I refused that statement. I really refused it. I said, I'm gonna have a healthy baby. Everything will be fine, and I'm gonna have my womb after that.
Because I remember in one of the days before birth, I think it was the June, when we went for a checkup in June, the doctor said, you know what, you guys, the God that you pray to is a living God, because first of all, it was impossible for her to be pregnant, to conceive with such fibroids in the uterus. And then, second of all, she doesn't feel any pain, and the baby is growing well. It was just a miracle. The doctor was always shocked. Whenever we went for a checkup, the doctor was always shocked. And we're talking about one of the country's finest doctors here, who's reputable. If I tell you his name, he's got the best reviews on social media, because he's just the best, one of the best doctors. But he was good. I remember, love, in the first, was it the first 3 months or 4 months, when we went for checkup, he actually cried, telling us that we may lose the baby. Yeah, the doctor himself, he did some tests and cried that this kind of pregnancy is very risky. I don't want to give you false hope. You may lose this pregnancy. So when he saw the baby growing and the tests going well, and my wife didn't have any pain, it was a shock to the doctor.
Amidst a backdrop of adversity, as the theme of that blessed week resonated deeply, on your altar you shall find. The message held a promise, a beacon of hope that pierced through the veil of despair and suffering that the devil had cruelly woven around their lives. In the presence of the Almighty, the couple's spirits were stirred by the power of a prophetic utterance, a heavenly oracle of His grace, Alph Lukau, that foretold a miracle awaiting them. This prophetic word was more than just a promise. It was a lifeline, a testament that God, in His infinite grace, remains steadfastly by our side, even in the bleakest of hours.
And every time he'll do a scan on the baby, and the baby was growing perfectly well. She was always on target. Sometimes even her length, you know, she's quite tall. She was always above average, you know. So he was always impressed, you know, by my health, by the health of our baby Nala.
But also on top of that, he continued saying, if you decide to keep the pregnancy, there is no guarantee that you have a normal, you have a baby at the end of the pregnancy, because there will be a lot of bleeding. And if you keep the pregnancy, you will not have a full-term baby. You will have to take out the baby as soon as the baby is a little bit mature and grown up a little bit, maybe 7 months. They actually wanted to take the baby at 7 months. But yeah, he continued with checkups, and right then, when the doctor spoke to us on that particular day, because of my wife was going through a lot of pain, we were really not sure whether to, we consider if a professional doctor who has got the best reviews in the country says those kind of things, you really get shaken. So we spoke to our father, because even myself wasn't sure whether to allow the pregnancy to go on or to find a way of maybe just removing the baby, because either way, the doctor said it's risk for her as the mother of the baby. Anything could happen between then and the time of birth. So it's either the baby will be lost. Most of the times, the probability of losing a baby, according to the doctor, was very high. But if the baby grows up and the birth comes, there is also the risk of my wife getting probably dying or of was it blood?
The bleeding.
The bleeding, yes, the bleeding. So it was really a hectic moment making decisions. But we spoke to our father, Pastor Alph, at that particular moment, that my wife is going through a lot at the hospital. She has a lot of pain, and the doctor is saying this and that. And we're really not comfortable. We're actually both crying at the hospital. And I remember the father saying, son, I remember the father saying, son, just focus on construction. Let the baby be my problem. That baby is from the altar. You know what the theme of the conference, last conference was? On my altar, you will find it. So just focus on your work, on construction. The baby is God's baby. So from that day on, we just, I even stopped praying for the baby. I stopped praying for the mother. I said, I'll focus on construction. This is not in my hands. This is on the Father's hands. So the Father will pray and the baby will be fine. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much what happened in the beginning. So we expected that as soon as my wife is out of the hospital, she'll have a lot of pain. But yeah, you may say, Bev.
Yeah. The frustrations now came during the journey of pregnancy, you know, when I was getting admitted in hospital, because I actually got admitted twice during this whole process. But we wanted a baby. You know, we really did want to have a baby at the time. And I didn't even know that I had fibroids until that day I went to hospital that night. So I didn't know how impossible this was, actually. But only until, you know, the doctors say, you have not one fibroid, but you've got a lot of fibroids in your abdominal. And like my husband just said, that initially he'd said to us, we're aiming for 7 months. So in May, we're taking out the baby, because at least the baby will be 7 months. So when we got to May, family, the doctor said, you're doing well, you're not in pain, the baby's growing well. Let's carry on for another month, you know. So we pushed to June this year. And when we got to June again, he said, you're not in pain, the baby's growing well, let's carry on. Until we got a date of the 26th of July this year. That was supposed to be the initial date. We even booked a hospital bed for delivery. We can at least get to 38 weeks, which was going to be the 2nd of August. So that was the official delivery date, was the 2nd of August 2023. I remember I was because I was going to have a C-section because of, you know, how big the fibroids were. So I remember being pushed into the place where the delivery ward, and the doctor coming to me and saying, remember what we had that conversation before, that because of your fibroids and the bleeding that might take place at this point in time on delivery, I might have to remove, you know, my womb. So they delivered the baby. The baby came out healthy, you know, absolutely fine. Nothing was wrong, you know, praise be to our God. And then, but what happened, I started to bleed. So then I could hear the doctors talking amongst themselves that she's bleeding, she's bleeding, she's bleeding. So there was a bit of a panic, you know, in that maternity ward. They said to me, you're bleeding, but let's see, maybe we'll stop. By the grace of God, by the power of our God, you know, the God of Alph Lukau, you know, the God that does exceedingly abundantly more than we can even ask or think, did it for us again, and the bleeding just stopped right there and there. You know, praise be to God. So again, you know, there was these celebrations within the maternity, between the delivery room. You know, you could see the joy amongst the doctors. Something that we forgot to add was before we actually got inside that delivery room, our gynecologist told us that because of how complicated everything might be, they actually invited another specialist, you know, doctor to just oversee and assist throughout the whole procedure. So all the doctors that were around, they were just saying, wow, you know, this is a miracle. First of all, again, your fibroids are big. How did you conceive this? But it was also a miracle that everything went well throughout that whole day in terms of the delivery of the baby. And it shows, family, that there's definitely nothing impossible with God. You know, what doctors say that is impossible, you know, what cannot be done by doctors, our God can certainly do it. There is nothing too hard for him. There's nothing too great for him that he cannot do.
I want to thank God for Pastor Alph Lukau. I want to thank God for Bishop Celeste. I want to thank, you know, just for them being our parents. They are so patient with us. Sometimes even when they say they are praying for us, we feel like without us talking to them, it's not enough. I tell you, I was flooding Pastor Alph's phone with my wife's pictures and the pregnancy pictures, and even when the baby got born, I flooded his phone with pictures of the born baby. I just wanted to know that my father was on his knees praying for them during the pregnancy and on the day of delivery. And even after, I'm thankful for Pastor Alph and Bishop Celeste because they're so patient. They are able to hear you and respond to your messages and tell you godly words, bring encouragement and some healing when you need healing, and just that comforting that God will do it. We are so grateful. They showed us a lot of love. They show us a lot of love on a daily basis. But yeah, on this particular season, we were really thirsty and hungry for those moments when your spiritual father and mother will come through for you, and they did that for us throughout the whole season. We thank God for them. May God just bless them. We love you, Bishop Celeste. We love you, Pastor Alph. We love you so, so, so much. We can't stop talking about you because of what God has used you, what God has done through Pastor Alph and Bishop Celeste. We love you so much. Thank you.
We are just so grateful to God to have given us spiritual parents like Pastor Alph Lukau and Bishop Celeste Lukau that have been so supportive throughout this journey, such a difficult journey that it has been. But the love that they've shown for us, was really amazing. Their prayers, their words of encouragement. Mommy Celeste was just always checking up, how are you, my daughter? I remember, how are you, my daughter? How are you and the baby? How many months are you now? How many weeks are you now? What is the baby weighing now? So we're just so grateful to God, to have chosen such great parents for us. It could have been any, spiritual parents, but He chose Pastor Alph Lukau and Bishop Celeste Lukau to be our spiritual parents, and we will be forever grateful for that. We thank you so much, Mommy and Daddy, and we love you so, so much.
Beloved, we watched this amazing testimony today. It gives us a powerful reminder that there is a great spiritual battle going on, the war against sin and Satan. The good news of God's word in Ephesians 6 verse 12, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. We will triumph because God has made our salvation secure in Christ, and in His strength, by the power of His Spirit, He will see us through. But the Lord Anointed's Apostle Alph Lukau assures us we will prevail by the blood of Jesus Christ.